All right, so we are in the new, not even new yet. I mean, it's sort of, it's not, yeah, it's not even your new digs yet. You can't even call it that. We're
just new digs elect.
What?
New digs elect.
Precise.
I haven't been sworn in yet.
And so you're right. Glass Eye Picks has moved out of their Dumbo location where you guys were at for like 10 years, you said? Something like that? Or in the ballpark of that?
In that ballpark, yeah.
And now you're in the East Village and only a couple blocks from home. So that's
a lot more done.
You're going to get a lot more trips to the Bean, I think.
Okay, yes. I have a preferred coffee shop on Avenue A, which I will frequent.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you'll divulge that information off mic.
Yes, that's correct.
You don't want to, because you know what happens. Everybody starts going there in droves, and then the quality always. You can't get a coffee there anymore. As Yogi Berra said, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded.
That's awesome.
That's the dulcet tones of Larry Fessenden. And you, it's exciting. You're like a regular on this podcast. You've been on this podcast more times than I have, almost. And you're joined today by who's this young man sitting to your right here?
Oh, this is my son, Jack Fessenden. He will introduce himself.
Very good.
Hello.
Hi, Jack.
I'm Jack. Yeah, I directed Stray Bullets. And
right to the punch.
Right to the punch.
You're excited.
And yeah.
Well, we're going to come back to that in just a second.
Okay.
I do want to give a little background. Another body just fell through or prop, as Larry Fessenden calls it in his business. I was actually at your world premiere. It's kind of nice to be able to. I think it was your world premiere. It was at Woodstock.
US.
Was that?
That was our US premiere.
Oh, excuse me.
We were at Oldenburg in Germany.
Oh,
a month before that. Yeah.
Then I stand corrected. So the US is liable to editing now. Yes, at Woodstock, and I had my kid with me. So it was interesting because he really wasn't in the mood to go. He likes making films himself. He's 12, but he does little stop motion films. But I said, I think you should watch it because you voiced interest in becoming a filmmaker too. And, here's a young guy who made this film in the middle of his teens, only a few years older, or at this point significantly. But when you started this, Jack, right? Mm-hmm. So now that you're obviously been talking about the film for a while, because when was Oldenburg? When was that?
That was in September.
Okay. Yeah. So it's good 4 months since.
And the movie's been done since April of last year. We first showed it, had a screening at IFC in April.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Was that for like a...
That was a cast and crew and friends screening.
I see. Oh, yeah. Okay. And they did it. They made it in New York Media Center, in Dumbo.
No, they did it at the IFC Center.
Oh, the IFC Center. I'm thinking IFP when you're saying IFC.
Oh, right.
Sorry about that. Excuse me. That's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, we've left Dumbo. That's so Dumbo. That's so Brooklyn.
It's very Dumbo.
This was in Manhattan. Yeah.
All right. Well, you're teased, but you've been in Manhattan a long time, so that's where your really your roots are. Wouldn't you say? Even though you've been working out of Dumbo.
That's right. I've been in Manhattan since the 80s, and I've been downtown since the 80s, and we had an office in various locations in the East Village until the price went up, and then we went to Dumbo, which was fantastic, but now it's so posh.
Yeah.
We come crawling back to Manhattan.
Yeah. Those prices that escalated in the 90s now are lower. So all of a sudden it's relatively low. It's compared to
We've
Dumbo.
Downsized as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, on a more optimistic note, the film is coming out. Let's get that out of the way too, and then we'll kind of step back a little bit in time, ask you questions about just your experiences making a film at that age, and the film is going to be at the Village East, right? Which is on 2nd Avenue. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's just around the corner from here. And it's going to be premiering Friday, February
10th.
February 10th,
yeah.
Okay. Stray Bullets, February 10th, Village East Theater. Big premiere.
And we're having a gala evening on the 9th, actually.
Okay.
So open to the public. We'd love to see people there.
Right?
We're hoping to have some of our cast and crew and supporters. Okay. And the public is welcome, and Jack will speak. after the 9:00 show. So we're sneaking in the great tradition. We're having a Thursday night premiere for our February 10th opening, which is in 10 cities across the country. Very exciting.
Well, where else?
The Laemmle Theater in L.A. I'm very excited about. I didn't get to play there myself until I was 35, and my kid is premiering there at age 17. We're also in Cleveland, Houston, Texas, Boston. Where else, Jack?
San Francisco.
Chicago, maybe? Or?
No, not Chicago yet.
Fuck
right?
Chicago.
Maybe not.
We're hoping for Chicago. We're not going to fuck them yet.
No.
And Seattle? No, is that true?
No. That's not true. Denver.
Fuck
It's
Seattle.
a nice Seattle. It's a nice city, but
Denver.
Denver.
Didn't we get Atlanta?
I don't know. Well, I think we did. That's fantastic.
That's huge.
And then, of course, this will be day and date with iTunes and Amazon. And on iTunes, we have a great making of, so we're very excited about that. You know, they have this new thing where you can get an extras package, and you can see an earlier film of Jack's called Riding Shotgun, which he made when he was 13, and a fabulous...
Was that a feature or is that a short?
No, it's a short. This is my first feature.
Okay. And you shot this all upstate, right? Wasn't it all shot up in the Hudson Valley?
Yeah, well, we have a house up there, and we go up every summer and spend a lot of time there. So whenever I write a story, I generally tend to see it, you know, in that kind of environment with, you know, characters that are sort of like the ones that I have in my life, my friends from upstate. And so, yeah, we shot it in Woodstock, New York, and in Stone Ridge. The trailer location was just a 20-minute drive from our house, which is where the whole crew stayed for the entire shoot.
And so you actually wrote the screenplay, correct?
Yeah.
You directed, and you also did you edit with Dad?
Yeah. I mean, I mostly edited myself, and then my dad would help me.
Okay, pardon me. And you act in it. Was that not a bit overwhelming for you at any time?
Well, you know, I just sort of think of it as it's all one and the same, you know. Writing and directing and editing to me is sort of filmmaking. I would never think to hand my story off to someone else, after shooting it or something like that. At least not now, not when I'm just starting out. And then in terms of acting, I generally see stories sort of through my own eyes, how I would experience them. At least at this stage in my, in my process, that's how I come up with my stories, and so I always am sort of just placed into the protagonist, whether it's good or not. That's just sort of how I see a story. My next project, that I'm sort of veering off from that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a bromance.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. But schoolwork didn't suffer?
Schoolwork suffered a little bit. I mean,
okay,
I would always.
So schoolwork suffered a little bit.
So I edited Stray Bullets, basically the first half of 10th grade. And then going into the winter, I was working on the score, and we were in the studio on the weekends, and we would go and do color correction, color timing for 12 hours, on Saturday, and then 12 hours on Sunday again. And then came the sound mix and the ADR. So these were such frequent engagements that they take hours upon end. So if we did that on a weeknight, which we sometimes did, there was no room for homework. And I was excited about what I was doing, and
no plans for college anyway, so what's the harm? Really?
Well, now we're finding out about that. But
it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I guess when it comes time to show your little home project, it's like, here, come to the movie theater. You can invite the admissions people to come to the Village East Theater.
We're learning it's all about the numbers. It's not about all that extracurricular stuff.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a brave new world.
As in money towards the endowment.
Yeah, well, it's those numbers too.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Numbers? Are you talking about grades?
I'm talking about grades and these standardized tests
and the tests.
All that.
Got it.
And
so, right.
I
thought that some schools still. I don't mean to get too far afield here, but some schools don't they really take into account?
We'll see.
As well. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's art schools and then there's regular schools.
Sure. Even aside from that, was that not an overwhelming thing to go through, or is that?
No, it totally was. And we finished the movie very promptly within 8 or 9 months of ending the shoot.
Post-production.
and only post-production.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only able to edit sometimes for a couple hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason we were able to finish so quickly is that the movie was entirely planned out beforehand. No scenes were cut. It was exactly how we'd storyboarded it, and in
Okay,
the
so
order
where
of
does
the
that come
script.
from? Did that come from also from Larry?
Yeah.
Did you
He's
do
always taught me. We do that together. We plan out every single shot beforehand. We have a shot list that we stick to on the day usually, and that helps us see the film in our mind, so that when I'm editing it, there's no surprises. You know,
You're editing in a sense as you're going.
Exactly,
already, right? Do you normally work that way, Larry, on your own films when you direct?
I really do. I love the idea that you conceive of the meaning of a scene, and therefore the way it should be, the way the information should be revealed. A close-up is a very specific way to start a scene. You don't know where you are yet. You only know the content of that first shot, and on you go. And it's fun to look at a script that's been written and talk to the writer and say, so how do we start this scene? Is it a wide shot, a close-up? Is it what information do we reveal? So I love talking about this, and we spend a lot of time working that out. We say storyboards, but I would scribble a few storyboards just to lock into my role as the DP. And we had already gone and taken photos of all the locations. So it's really my favorite way to work. Now, that means that you have the foundation such that when you get on the set, you can loosen up and say, well, actually, maybe this is cool.
Sure, things
or
present themselves.
Let's do something different. Or, my God, who knew there'd be that truck there? Let's have that in the frame. All
The
those
truck,
things
of course.
can have the truck. My God, the new subtext of the picture. So all of that can be, but you're not there just saying, what the hell are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I really love making films that way. It's how you make movies low budget. It's how you don't spend a lot.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
And then when you do run into a problem, you've organized yourself enough so you have the time to think when you need it. But otherwise, you should just get into it.
Less panicking going on.
There's less panicking,
Right.
and it's so fun to see your film slowly come together from word to drawings to photos to the actual rehearsal to the shoot. It's just my preferred way to work, and it's how I wanted to introduce Jack to the process, and he'll go from there as he sees fit.
Have you worked with people that work radically different, and then maybe that becomes something uncomfortable? Or
No, that's a great question. I mean, one thing that is very true of Glass Eye Pix is we often work with first-time filmmakers or second-time filmmakers, but I really like working with people who are fresh. They're still excited. They're not jaded, and they really are in it for the arts. And when I am talking to those people who maybe have a first-time script, I usually suggest this process, and they'll go along to the degree that they do. I mean, that's just it's the way you want to produce a film as well. You want to know what's going to happen. You want to be able to schedule appropriately. So, as I say, it's my methodology, and I'm sticking to it.
Jack, when it comes to working with your father so closely, do you feel like you want to be able to go your own way at any point in terms of your own ideas that may differ from Dad's, or you might want to develop your own process or style? I don't know if that ever came up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the fact that I don't make horror movies sort of is that veering off and that slight rebellion. But I, otherwise, I think the process that I've learned from my dad and that we've, made movies for years now, using, I don't think that's just how I've adopted that, and that's how I do it now. I make it my own.
Well, now we know what the movie isn't. It's not a horror film. What is it? So do you want to give a little bit of the synopsis so people, because I should have done that probably at the beginning.
Well, it's sort of
should check for the batteries too, by the way.
Stray Bullets is sort of a crime thriller that brings the story of these two teenage boys upstate that are going to clean out their dad's trailer, and they've got they've had a paintball gun shipped to one of the kids, his boss's house or something, and so it's sort of this little heist in the beginning where they're breaking into his house and they've got all these packages, and so it brings that story of these two kids wandering around upstate eventually to end up at this trailer to clean it out, and then we also follow these crooks on the run from a from a job gone wrong in the city, and they're driving upstate, and one of them's shot in the back, and then eventually the two stories collide.
Right. So two different threads.
Yeah.
That eventually conjoin.
Yeah.
To create stray bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And the heist characters,
Mm-hmm.
one of which is Larry Fesssenden.
Mm-hmm.
Another is James LeGros. Any others? What's the third guy?
John Spiridakis.
John Spiridakis.
Yes.
That's right. He was going to potentially do this too, or was that something we mentioned? Or okay,
Yeah.
If it happens. And then you play. Obviously, you're one of the two friends that you mentioned in the other thread, right?
Yeah.
And it is surprisingly, it's pretty intense. This is a movie kind of movie geared towards adults, wouldn't you say? I mean, in terms of the amount of violence or tension and
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never really think about an intended audience when I make a movie or think of a story. This movie is for me. I wanted to see it, and you have to hope that others will too. I think that kids my age can enjoy it. It's very much a story about boys playing with guns. Teenage boys playing with guns. I grew up making movies with Nerf guns and stuff, and I've graduated to the paintball guns, and of course the crooks have their real guns. And I was very adamant about getting realistic looking replicas, because I think that when you see a plasticky looking fake gun in a movie, that just takes you right out of it. We did. I mean, we had to choose where to spend our small amount of money, but
yes,
I was very insistent upon the guns being, because it's a major element in the movie, and so I was very insistent upon the guns being realistic. We had blanks when they were fired; those were actually shots going off, blank firing, replica guns, and each character has their own gun that looks that fits their character. Cody has like the shiny 911 Colt 911 or whatever.
But did you have to do research on this?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, we used the weapons specialist out in Brooklyn, which I've sort of we've worked with them before. But they have a specialist that comes to set and teaches the actors how to handle the weapons, and you also have to have the cops there because when we shot in the city, that scene in Brooklyn where it's the shootout scene. That was we were not able to shut that street down or anything, so we were really just sort of operating when we could and hoping that we wouldn't scare anybody. But we did have the cops there, so that was technically checked out.
Right, but I guess that's true. Passers-by might all of a sudden.
Well, it's funny because we talk about, and now I'm stuck on this idea because of the process, because I've also made movies that have been improv and so on. So I don't want to overstress the idea of the pre-planning. But here's an example: is that we went to a location near Gowanus in Brooklyn to shoot the shootout, and we had an arrangement with our friends to use their pull-up garage and stuff. But across the street was this fantastic location, and Chris Scotchtopole, who worked on the movie, he went over and made the arrangements, and so we shot in this fantastic location that really is one of the iconic imagery in the film, and that was an example of we had our backup plan, we had the plan, that's what brought us there. The cops met us there, but then we said, hey, there's an even better spot here, and we sort of rebuilt the whole scene, and that was a really it's a great location. Speaking
of which, it wasn't in the scene where in Goodfellas where De Niro sends what's the actress? Of course, Lorraine Bracco, wasn't it? Was it Lorraine Bracco? He goes, she's like, while you're here, why don't you pick out a couple of dresses for yourself in the rack? Where he goes, oh, thank you, and she goes, just go down there, and she just go down there. It's like he's going. Okay. That's my listeners are of course very confused because they couldn't see my hand.
Well, yes, that's why you really need a TV show so you can do your De Niro imitation. It's really...
Clearly, but I think that was shot in the Gowanus area. I think that was shot that they, where that scene was.
That was the whole point of the anecdote.
Yeah, because
I think they shot it in Brooklyn. Come on,
no, I think it was shot. I remember that because having lived nearby that area though, that looked like. And then there's something about that scene, the shootout in Stray Bullets, looked a little familiar. Like maybe, it wasn't too far or something like that.
Yeah. It's a great neighborhood, and in the distance, in the background, you can see the storied canal, and
right.
and it says Dead End, and it
sure
has
is.
It's a great neighborhood to shoot in. I've done a couple movies there actually.
Oh yeah,
but it's because we were kicked out of Dumbo. We were going to shoot in the Glass Eye Pix has the building has a roll-up door, and we'd made another movie there, one of Jack's adaptation of Shakespeare. And which has guns instead of swords.
This is the short? Is that what you're saying?
This is, Jack has made these various films, which we consider his films, but he also made some movies for school, which I let him use real music, which is what our tension always is. Ever since he was little, I said, you have to score your own films. We can't afford real music.
Right. By the way, I did forget to mention that as well. You scored the picture as well.
So Jack has done the music for all his films, but when he makes some movies for English class, a scene out of Midsummer Night's Dream, he's allowed to use Prokofiev, and so it gets exciting. Anyway, we had filmed there, but they had put a limitation on the amount of movies that they would let you shoot in Dumbo. So the very location, literally our building, and our landlord was kind enough to let us shoot there. Well, we couldn't permit. So we were thrust into the bowels of Brooklyn, and we shot in Gowanus, and we were very lucky. It was a better-looking set.
Well, it's a good thing, Larry, that Jack's your only kid, right?
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
So far. If this works out.
That I know of. Isn't that what you're supposed to say?
Yeah,
well, that.
Oh, this is your only child. That's, I think, I was getting at.
I was making a series of off-color remarks. That's where then the machine broke.
Very presidential of you. Well, in a sense, it's a good thing. I mean, otherwise you'd have to be helping all your children with their.
It would be like a full
careers.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have any time for your own projects.
I still don't.
Well, this really did have to take, but it's under the auspices of Glass Eye Pix, right? The production company.
Well, the funny thing is that you really do have a lot of children that you have to help out with their films, don't you?
First-time filmmakers, are those your kids? Larry's kids?
They really are. I don't know how I got into this. You know why? It's because I wanted to be treated nicely, and I didn't feel the business was very nurturing or welcoming. So I made it my mission to help other people, and I've had a great time of it. And just like with Stray Bullets, I'm so proud of this movie. I'm perfectly happy to spend time on it. And, you work with a distributor, and you call them, and we have to deal with the poster, and I pull Jack out of his homework, and we say, do you want to approve the poster? Did we do this with the billing block? Are the colors okay? And that goes on and on. There's all manner of decisions to be made and we have a great company, Screen Media, that's putting it out, and they're very inclusive. And so there's a lot of work from here. Also, we fantastic announcement that we're going to have the score on Lakeshore Records, which is a wonderful label. And so that's another. Then you have to make the little booklet and the statements and this and that.
And
it's
the
all
minor notes
good problems to have, but
Yeah.
it does take a lot of management.
Right. So it's a pretty incredible opportunity, Jack, for you, because by the time you're on your own, and that's coming probably sooner than later, you have a real sort of head start on a lot of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason.
Just don't decide to go to medical school or anything.
Yeah, exactly. No, I won't. It's part of the reason I don't really want to go to film schools, because I do I'm a little ahead of the game at this point. It doesn't mean that when I'm in my early 20s, there won't be someone, who's way better, who takes off. But
There's
right
always
now,
somebody way better. There's always somebody way better.
But right now I am a little bit ahead of the game. So I want to go to a type of college and spend those kind of years just sort of exploring and still focusing on my movies. And music, of course, is very important to me also. I'm in a band, and I love composing for my movies and play guitar a lot.
What's your band?
The Strangers. Yeah, we rehearse just across the street on 2nd Avenue, and we've it's been 5 years now or something. I was like 11 when we started, maybe 6 years even.
3 albums.
Yeah, 3 albums out, 4th one on the way. I play drums in the band. We're a 3-piece sort of punk rock band, but we're veering off into very cool, indie rock sounds. We have my very good friend Dalton is the songwriter, and he's a genius, a musical genius.
Okay. And is his music? Did he contribute to the soundtrack?
No, he actually didn't. No.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's some Stranger songs. You know how the park has an ambience. The park next door to the trailer. Some of the music from there was our band.
I see. Well, but Larry, you're in a band too, though, right? Aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in a, I don't know what you call it, pub rock, folk, Tom Waitsy kind of. Mm-hmm. We were once called Indistinguishable Groaners, me and my friend Tom Lavrak. But we played music since the 70s. Dig that. And we're actually working on a new album.
You are?
We put out a new album out every 10 years.
I think
the public just can't, they
can't get enough.
Yeah.
Every administration, it's time for a new...
But we're called Just
Word.
Desserts. And you
Just
can buy,
Desserts.
we even have, I must say it's my proudest moment. We have a Pandora channel. That is cool.
That is. Not many people that can say that. Nobody on my show in the past has.
Well, there you go. You
probably has
see,
one.
yeah. That's why you
could be
keep
wrong,
having
though.
me back.
I know.
Who knows what I'll be promoting next?
Exactly.
My
That's the fun.
my cookbook. Do you know about Glass Eye Fixins? The hot sauce line that we offer? You can order it on the Glass Eye store. Sorry, I digress.
That's okay.
Stray Bullets, please. My son.
Getting back to okay, so again, Stray Bullets. It's directed, written, edited, scored, acted in by Jack Fessenden, and I guess it produced. Is your role, Larry?
Yes, he's a producer, my father.
Keep your hands to yourself, sir.
I also am credited as a producer.
Oh, they're okay. Well,
And my mom.
oh yes,
Yeah, it's a family
Lest we
affair.
forget Becca?
Beck Underwood.
Yes, Beck Underwood was, of course, an essential component of this. She's just a little more camera shy than her, than the men in the family. But she's a production designer, and she got us all a lot of the locations. And Jack and I were sitting around, and he got a text on the phone, and she said, "What was it? Is this?"
Well, she sent us a picture of the Dodge Dart that did end up in the movie, and she said, "Is this too cute or is this too much or something?" And we were like, "That's perfect."
Yeah, it was so exciting. So that became a major character in the movie for us. We got it for whatever it was.
$1,100.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was... so it was the guns in the car that cost the money.
So if you're making a film, make note.
Spend your money on the guns.
But the guns also included the bringing the having to have the consultant,
Specialist,
the
yeah.
specialist come, and all
Exactly.
that's all in there, in that line item, right? Straight Bullets is again premiering on the 10th. Was it
The 10th
The
of
10th.
February.
The 10th of February at Village East in Manhattan and cities around the country. Same day.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We're going to have a big gala party on the 9th, evening of the 9th. So what we'll do is I'll put up information about that. But you can also, what's the best way to get information about Stray Bullets and like that event and the theatrical?
Well, you can go to straybulletsthemovie.com, which is Screen Media, our distributor's website for us. And I suppose you could also go to Village East and get tickets, that kind of thing.
And it's going to be on iTunes and Amazon day and date on the 10th. And Screen Media, that site, Stray Bullets, the movie, has all the other theatrical locations around the country. So it's opening in L.A. and I guess we went through all this stuff.
Yeah. Just also for the information about that, the premiere night, I guess that'll be on the website or maybe a Facebook page, or what do you?
Yeah, we'll promote that. It's the 9:00 show on Thursday the 9th at Village East in New York City.
You're just doing the one on that night?
Yeah, and Jack will do a Q&A. He'll also do a Q&A on that Saturday night. And he'll do a Q&A in Boston at the Apple Cinemas in Cambridge on Friday night. So we're all over the joint.
That's the official chime that ends our segment. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate your
thank you.
coming on the
It's
show,
great.
and looking forward to
Thanks, Adam.
all the success for the movie.